Dean Matthews, assembled deans and staff, faculty colleagues, students, and guests. I am deeply moved and humbled today, and first and foremost want to express my most profound gratitude to my dear colleagues, both faculty and administrative, and to my wonderful students, and my wonderful students who have nominated me for this year's Excellence in Teaching Award. It is an honor to be your colleague, and it's an honor to be your teacher, and I am so proud to be part of this wonderful community. 25 years ago, I raised more than a few eyebrows when I resigned from a tenured position with one of the world's top orchestras after only 10 seasons and still in my mid-30s, to accept the invitation of the Peabody Conservatory to become a full-time professor of cello. Why did I do that? I'll try to explain. I first started teaching cello when I was in high school, teaching elementary and junior high kids at my school. I have been teaching in some capacity without a break ever since, from 5-year-old beginners to 85-year-olds, in my home, in their homes, in community music schools, and in college settings. Though I always did my best, I generally felt pretty clueless about how to really teach and help my students improve. And that was the thing about those early years. Teaching was hard. And my increasing accomplishment as a player did not seem to correlate with me being a more confident or even competent teacher. Being perfectly honest, every lesson I taught felt like I had as much to learn about teaching as my students had to learn about playing. It was a little unsettling because I really loved the idea of teaching. My own teachers, both musical and academic, were somewhat larger than life figures to me, and I was raised in a family and by parents who conveyed a deep respect for education and knowledge, for teachers, and for academic excellence. My mother, an elementary school teacher in the Philadelphia public school system in the late 1940s and 50s, received its highest performance rating. And I think she would have been especially pleased to see one of her 4 sons receive an award for teaching. I continued trying my best to help any cello students that came my way, until one day, while in my early 20s, I recall arriving at a lesson with my last formal teacher, Harvey Shapiro of the Juilliard School. Harvey was a cigar-smoking, rough-talking, legendary figure, already in his 80s, with a long and distinguished career as a performer and a particularly big reputation as one of the major cello teachers at that time. I entered his studio, and as soon as he saw me, he quickly grabbed his cello and very excitedly said, with lit cigar in mouth, "Alan, I should give back all the money that I've ever taken from a student before today. I just figured out how to play this passage, and I've been teaching all wrong for the last 50 years. Look." He enthusiastically demonstrated his discovery by raising his arms a certain way, changing balance, and moving fluidly through a line of a Beethoven sonata with flawless precision, natural phrasing, and a gorgeous tone on every note. It's hard to describe the excitement that was emanating from this 80-plus-year-old man, whom I'd assumed already knew everything there was to know about teaching and playing. Turns out he was, in fact, still learning, problem-solving, and growing as an artist. And what's more, he wasn't just learning to teach better, he was learning to play better. I am also happy to report that he ultimately lived to be 97 and taught energetically nearly until the day he died, and played until he died. Finally, I started to get it. It's okay to feel you have a lot to learn about teaching, maybe even necessary to be good at doing it. Teaching, it turns out, is potentially the most electrifying form of learning, and it allows you to learn for as long as you teach. And although I haven't volunteered to return any portion of my Peabody salary yet, I feel that I'm a better teacher and cello player today than I was last week, let alone 25 years ago. Bottom line, if you want to continually get better as a musician, don't just practice, teach and practice. And yet, what I've just described isn't even the greatest thing about teaching. To me, and I'm sure to all of my faculty colleagues, it's the inspiration that we derive from the privilege of working with our students, intimately witnessing their unique and individual journeys and growth, their discoveries, and the nobility and idealism of their aspirations. I remember writing a paper in college about the role of musicians in society and posing the following question: would my work, would I be contributing enough to the world if I succeeded in becoming a professional musician? Maybe some of today's graduates have asked themselves that same question. I mean, we live in a pretty complicated world, which is, of course, an understatement. Does the world need another cellist, another composer, another dancer? What I want to say about teaching is that for me, it has helped answer these questions. And while I haven't discovered the cure for cancer, solved world hunger, climate change, or any other of our dizzyingly numerous global problems, I believe that teaching has contributed greatly to the feeling that my work as a musician is purposeful and impactful. Knowing and working with my students, each one unique, and with unlimited potential to contribute to or even change the world, has utterly convinced me that the world is an infinitely better place with more artists, more historians, more novelists. We need the liberal arts, creative thinkers, and yes, more cellists. I am happy to report that committing to a foundation of teaching in my career has been gratifying beyond my expectations, and I'm really glad that I took that leap 25 years ago. Graduates, I highly recommend that you teach in some form, no matter what path you follow with your musical training. And I wish you a life of learning and of making meaningful contributions to our world. Thank you so much for this most deeply appreciated honor. But really, for the past quarter of a century, the honor has been mine.